Mom had that car,
Oh, I
Volkswagen
remember.
Rabbit.
I
Yeah, somebody
remember
tried to
that.
grab me out of the back seat of that car. I swear to God, we were at a cemetery. We were driving by a cemetery, and it had the roll, windows. It's in the early '80s, and we were on our way to the train station.
Some zombie at a
I swear to God, and, yeah, we're at literally, and I'm in the back seat. In the back seat, I think I was in my I was probably
Car
4, so I was like in a that seat that's not a car seat, but you can't actually sit in the full seat.
Yeah, I know.
And we had the belt seats because it was an '81 Rabbit or whatever it was. And I had my window down, looking out the window, and he tried to pull me out. And I remember Mom screaming and hitting at him, and she said, "Roll up the window." And I remember trying to roll up my window, and then the light turned green. She sped away, but he tried to unbuckle my seat belt. Yes, never forget that. That's how I remember the Rabbit. Mom had it was a weird like burgundy champagne-y.
I still remember.
Yeah,
that.
remember that car?
Yeah.
It was anyway, and it had burgundy interior or brown interior. It was like a smoky brown. I think it was like a topaz, actually, was the color. Yeah. So I'll always remember that day next to the cemetery in the Volkswagen Rabbit.
Boy, we've had some interesting people
We have.
after us over the years, huh?
Yeah, we have. It's been a long haul. It's been a really, really, really long haul. I don't know how we keep plugging away. I guess it's just what would you associate it to? Just the fact that 4 decades later, obviously, just besides some amazing people that support us and fans that like what we do, thank God, and allow us to work. But I mean, how do you think we're still hanging in there? Because 40, you start getting to that 4-decade mark. I don't care. I don't care what year you start. I mean, or what age you start at. 4 decades into something, that's a lot. That's a long time. I mean, you don't even realize the context of that until you realize, like, when people work at a company, like, I just celebrated my 40th year. Like, oh my, wow, bravo. I don't feel like that, but it has been that long. Yeah. So, and people often ask me, like, what is it? How do you guys still find the will or the energy to do it? And I don't know. I associate it to just, I guess, like an old school kind of like work ethic that was ingrained in us, right?
Yeah, it's a discipline.
It's a discipline, right?
I mean, that's our purpose here, right? To just work.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that chart where they show talent and then discipline, and discipline always beats talent? Just because if you're taking those incremental steps forward every day and you're disciplined and you have work ethic, you're going to outwork the person who has talent. So maybe they started above you, but because they're used to their talent and they're just used to using it every day, and then it gets quantitative to the point where you're so far ahead that they can't even catch up.
That's right.
Being talented.
and then when you have the combination of, like where you have a super just innately blessed, talented person, and they have the work ethic.
Oh, then you have a superstar.
Then you get Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
then you get Kobe. Then you get Tom Brady. Then you get these guys. Like, I remember when we were growing up as kids, Matt. Like, Michael, like Jordan would go off for 38 points. 10 assists, 5 steals. But he went like 9 for 12 at the charity stripe, and he was so pissed after the game, he'd go literally right into the gym and just shoot like 500 free throws.
Yeah.
And that's how you knew, like, the greatest basketball player ever, in my opinion. But, that he was the guy that went back in that night. Everybody else went home. He went back in.
And
that's
Kobe
how
adopted that.
Kobe adopted.
I remember that.
And then Kobe was first in and last out.
My favorite story about Kobe is he went to some training camp, and like all the kids were like, "Wow, Kobe Bryant's here," and he was doing his thing, and he was in the training camp, and so one kid was like kind of keeping up, not really, but he's like, "Wow, I can't believe I'm even like kind of keeping up with Kobe Bryant. That's amazing." And then at the end, Kobe made a speech, and he was like, "I just really appreciate everybody here. Let me work on my left hand." And he realized, oh my God, he went through the whole training course working on the offhand. Yeah, so that type of work ethic and that type of discipline is pretty.
And that's why,
spectacular.
Arguably, at the end of their careers, which happens to everybody, physically you deteriorate, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're a sports athlete and your aptitude, your physical ability deteriorates, or whether you're on camera like us and physically you just deteriorate. You don't look like you did when you're younger. You should be the best at your game at the end of your career. And Jordan was. He had a fadeaway. He had a 3-point shot. He didn't have anything. Kobe was the same way. Yeah. Better at the end of his career. He was a better passer, everything. That's just working on that innate ability. Look at Tom Brady. I mean, his discipline. Yeah. Oh, my God. What this guy does. And it was what Kobe did. There is no off season. No. Off season is a different regimen than during the season, but there's no off season. You're not getting out of shape to get back in shape. You are constantly fine tuning. So you re-enter every season with an additional piece into your arsenal, not to your arsenal, not trying to recapture what you had last season. And I feel like as actors or as, creators or entertainers or whatever it is, you should get better every year you have an opportunity to do it. And I think some of the best people in our industry have. You look at just even actors like George Clooney. I don't know him well enough to say that I know him, but he's a better actor now than he was when he first started out. No question. And his first 2 or 3 movies, like Peacemaker and these things, or when he played Batman, which was not, I didn't enjoy that. It was super rough. But what a great actor he's turned into. Brad Pitt the same way.
Yeah,
I mean, dude, Brad Pitt is unbelievable. That performance he gave in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was sick.
That was probably one of his better.
Yeah,
I agree.
One of his best. Yeah.
He was so understated in that. I mean, you're opposite Leo, who's arguably the actor of our generation.
Yeah, for sure.
And Brad Pitt, in my opinion, was more effective in that movie than even Leo. I actually just was more engaged, and I love Leo.
I don't know.
But
they were both pretty.
They were
good.
both great, but there was something about Pitt's just balanced steadiness.
That scene in the trailer.
Oh.
When DiCaprio talking to himself.
Yeah, and he cries and then... so good.
And he goes to sip it and he throws it.
So good.
Blah, 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 blah. I mean, that scene was like a master class of acting on its own.
But honestly...
It's a one-man show. I mean, it was...
Right.
Blew my mind.
And I'm not saying Pitt's better than Leo. What I'm saying is in that movie, I was entranced with his performance more than I was Leo's. But I'll tell you something, the performance to me that nobody will touch, that only Leo could have pulled off, was Wolf of Wall Street. That to me,
it was the best performance.
That was
unbelievable.
Believable.
Yeah, he was amazing.
His range in that.
I'm not going anywhere.
That first penny stock that he sold. And he was like, and then that scene when he's driving that Countach home.
Unbelievable.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, his range in that, dude, that was so
when
sick.
He gets back.
Oh my God.
Was it a Ferrari or a Lamborghini?
A Lambo. It was a Countach, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Good.
Dude, that movie
wakes up the next morning.
That movie was brilliant. That movie was brilliant.
It was
so,
pretty badass.
You look at that, and that's discipline. That is just continuing to work and work hard. And they're blessed they have the opportunities to work at that level, you know?
Yeah.
And for us, I think we were grown up. We were just brought up
we
that
were
way.
Born into a different era, too.
Yeah, you had to work hard.
It didn't even matter that you were underage.
Right.
Like, if you weren't there and competitive and on it and knew and had prepped, and actually not just knew and had prepped, but had brought something of your own to the table.
Yeah.
That's the only way you were, would fit in with the rest of the crew and the cast. Now, I mean, I don't know. I walk on sets and I'll get from people like, oh wow, you're prepared. And I'm like,
I know, right? Like, yeah. What I'm getting
I hope so. It's basically the only thing I got. I mean, if I don't prepare
nowadays, because you really don't have. I mean, unfortunately, the luxury of rehearsing
is gone.
Well, unless you're on like a really big project.
Not even as much though. You hear about like we were watching that interview with Al Pacino, and he was like, I mean, I'm used to getting 3 to 6 months. De Niro. I'm used to getting 3 to 6 months of rehearsrsal.
Yeah. Yeah.
3 to 6.
Yeah.
We get 3 to 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're gonna walk through this and then shoot.
Exactly. Pretty much.
And then you understand why David Fincher does 123 takes of a scene.
Yeah.
Because he throws the first 80 away, the rehearsal.
Look, it was always an average to do 3
it.
weeks. Always, you got 3 weeks rehearsal. Now that was just nothing.
I know.
Now it's nothing. Literally
really
nothing. And but you're right, because growing up, I remember when I would go to table reads on Give Me a Break, and I couldn't read. But the table read was that part where you'd sit there with all the producers of the network. It's the first time they heard the script and the cast, and the first that they heard it. If you didn't nail your lines, like they were cut. Literally, they cut your lines, and they'd give them to people that nailed it at the table read.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time that I sat down at the Give Me a Break one, I didn't know what to expect. Well, I was like 5.5, 6, and I had all these lines. And I couldn't read, so I had memorized them. So I had to memorize everybody else's lines. I didn't read fluently enough to be able to do that. So Mom had worked with my ass off with, those things. And I get there and, I crushed that moment. But I remember the director coming up to me and saying, you did a good job. And if you ever don't get laughs like that, just know your lines are going to be cut. I mean, to a 6-year-old.
I know.
We were
putting right into it. Yeah, there was no sugarcoating.
Okay, here you go. You're feeling bad about something. Okay, you get some crayons. You get a puppy. No. It was like, if you don't deliver, you're out. And you know what? You could say that's harsh, but it's great training. Because you know what? That's life. Life is hard.
Yeah.
Life is not easy. And you got to step up. You got to do your best. It's about work ethic. That's all you got is your work ethic.
And I think what it really helped, I mean, and just us, we got a cool experience and got to really define a really good work ethic because we were going to school and also working. So we were navigating through the normal life of being a kid and those responsibilities. But we also had the responsibilities of a job.
Thank you so much for watching this clip of the Brotherly Love Podcast.
For full episodes, go to the Brotherly Love Pod's YouTube channel, link in the description.
And for exclusive weekly bonus content, join our Patreon right now.
That's right, there's a link in the description for that too. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thanks.